Well, hello, everybody. Good to be with you. Thank you for joining us here today on this special live stream, 5 Years of Catholic, how it started, how it's going. And I wanted to just take a moment and introduce my beautiful wife, Estelle, to you if you haven't met her yet.
Hi, everybody. So normally I would stay here for an event like this, but I'm not feeling very good. So I don't think I'm going to hang out on camera. So I'm going to watch it on my computer.
Okay.
And participate in the chat.
But
Maybe I'll ask some questions.
You can ask some questions about how it started, how it's going.
But I just wanted to say hi to everybody and let you know that we just love you all so much.
Yeah. And before you go,
Okay.
I mentioned the idea of you maybe doing your own video at some point in time about 5 years, how it started, how it's going for yourself. Are you considering that?
Are you just now mentioning it to everybody else? Because I know you mentioned that to me earlier.
This is when I'm mentioning it to everybody else.
Well, thank you for doing that
You're
because it
welcome.
really puts the pressure on. So I'm going to pray about that.
Okay.
I think I could. I think it would be really cool.
I think it would be awesome.
So.
All right. Well, I'm sorry you're not feeling well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're at the cabin out here in Colorado. She hasn't been doing too well since we've been here, but you're still hanging in there. So
hanging in there.
Thanks for saying hi to everybody.
Yep.
And we'll get started with everything.
All right.
Awesome. All right, you guys. I want to just share some stuff with you about the last 5 years and where we are with this and how it started and how it's going. So I'm thankful for all of you guys joining in. And I know that this is a live stream, but this will be staying up. So there'll be some of you guys that catch this later. So for those of you that don't know, I'll give you just the quick, rundown. So I used to be a Protestant pastor, youth pastor, worship leader, lots of different things in different churches. For 22 years, I served in full-time ministry. I grew up going to church. My dad is a retired United Methodist pastor. So for me, being in the church was just part of my life. And through a long series of events in 2017, I became a Catholic on October 8th, which is tomorrow. So tomorrow is the actual official day, but I wanted to do this live stream with you guys tonight because we're taking a little trip tomorrow. And anyway, 5 years. I remember hearing a couple things that have stuck with me in this experience. And real quick, I'm going to share some stuff with you guys, and then I'm going to take questions from those of you in the live chat. So just hang on to your questions, and at the appropriate time, I will start to interact with you guys in the chat. So the first thing I heard that's really stuck with me was when someone said to me after about, I don't know, maybe a year, my excitement in the church, probably when I started to first make some videos about the Catholic faith and talk more about it publicly, they said, "Wow, Keith, this is really exciting, but you're still in the honeymoon phase, and eventually this will wear off and you'll be like the rest of us, And I remember just feeling like, okay, well, we'll see. And what I can tell you guys is this. I am more excited about my Catholic faith today, 5 years later, than I was even when I marched into my senior pastor's office and told him I was quitting to become a Catholic. So that hasn't happened. I have not, my excitement for the faith has not waned in the slightest. If anything, it has grown. And the other thing that stuck with me was I met a bishop one time. He's the bishop out in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And he told me a statistic that right when I was beginning to just toy with the idea of doing some ministry stuff, he said, 5 years after people become Catholic, I think he said something like half of the people have already left the church. Half of the people who have become Catholic, who've converted to the faith as adults, who have in many cases sacrificed things, lost things, and gone through this entire deal, many of them have already, half of them have already walked away. And that just blew my mind. I thought to myself, man, how could you go through all of this? And then I thought, well, maybe people become Catholic for different reasons. And some people become Catholic, not because they're convicted that it's the truth, but maybe they become Catholic because they're getting married to someone and that's just what you have to do, or to please some in-laws or some other reason. I don't know. But I'm telling you, that lit a fire under me, you guys. And Eric, I see your question there. Thank you for that super chat. I will get to that. I see, people that come into the faith for different reasons, and it just lit a fire under me to do everything that I could to help people experience this amazing thing and to not take it for granted. So that's what I began to do, and so those two things have kind of driven me. So I would start by saying this. I have no regrets, none. There has not been one single moment where I've ever thought maybe I shouldn't have done this. Not one. And that's not to say that things have been easy. That's not to say that things haven't been tough or there haven't been sacrifices. Lots of sacrifices have been made. Now, I don't want to hold myself up as some big martyr or whatever, because compared to so many others, I'm not. But I can tell you this, it has been hard. There have been tough things, but there's never been anything that's made me second guess or question my decision. The only regret that I have, and this is the God's honest truth about my conversion, was that I didn't do it sooner. It's the only regret that I have. And I have to just trust the Lord with that and just understand that God is patient with us and he works all things out to our good. And even though I might say to myself, oh, why didn't I become Catholic in 2004 or 2005? I would have saved myself a lot of heartache. I have to just trust that God has allowed me to go through what he's allowed me to go through for a reason. And I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be. So that's the number one thing I want to share with you guys, is that I have no regrets. Now, that doesn't mean that I haven't made any mistakes, even as a Catholic or anything like that. I have regrets about things that I've done or not done, or things that I've said or not said. I could have handled a lot of things better. There were days where my excitement about my Catholic faith alienated people unnecessarily. There were times when perhaps pride crept in because I was so convinced that I knew the truth and that I know the truth, that maybe came across in a prideful way or self-righteous way toward other people. There were certainly times when I have not been as bold as I should be, or have worried about things that I shouldn't worry about. So I'm not to say, when I say I have no regrets, it doesn't mean that I think I've done everything perfectly, because, I make mistakes every day. God knows that I have not done everything perfectly. But in terms of that decision to become Catholic, man, yeah. And, that question, I know I'll kind of tackle this one a little bit, Eric, but what was the hardest part of the hardest thing to deal with since I've found out about being Catholic? It's funny. I have a video coming out next week called "The Toughest Things About Being Catholic," and that's going to come out next Saturday, I think. And I just created that, maybe Friday, I can't remember. But one of the toughest things about being Catholic is one of the things that I love the most about it. It's that you're never done growing and learning. And that might sound, oh, that's great. But sometimes that's hard, because oftentimes I feel like an idiot, because someone will say something to me or teach me something or say, oh, well, what about this person? And I have no idea what they're talking about. And I'll be like, wow, I should have known this, but I don't. So that's been tough. It has been to be like, feeling like you're never good enough. You never know enough. And that's been something I've dealt with. But at the same time, it's also a beautiful challenge to grow and to move into things. But let me talk with you guys about the things that I feel like I've gained. The things I've lost, whatever, it doesn't really matter. But the things that I've gained have been amazing. First of all, I have gained, the obvious things about the sacraments and the sacramental life. And I can't understate how transformational that has been for me. I can't understate the change that has gone on in my soul and in what feels like every fiber of my being spiritually, participating in the sacramental life. That is incredible. And it's one of those things that if you don't know, you don't know, but if you do know, you do know. And I remember feeling like, when I become Catholic, what's going to happen when I receive the Eucharist? Are lightning bolts going to fly out of the sky? Am I going to float or something? And when I received the Eucharist, I didn't have any kind of crazy sensation other than thank God for this. But here's the deal. What's happened in my heart has been an incredible change. Like, I'm more in love with Jesus than I ever thought I could be. And I just want to serve him, and I just want to worship him, and I just want to soak in everything I possibly can. And remember, I was a pastor for 22 years, and I feel like I have gained this incredible understanding and this incredible realization of just how incredible God is in a fuller way. I've often said it like this. When I became Catholic, it was as if the lights got turned on in my faith. And I had been living in a room where I could see a little bit here and there, but I don't want to say that I was in darkness, because I wasn't. But it's like now I can get it. I can see things. But at the same time, like I mentioned, I feel like there's so much to explore. The lights are on and I can see, but the environment I find myself in is way bigger than what I thought it was going to be. So that's what I'm gaining, is this like appreciation for how amazing and the breadth of our faith, right? The other thing that I've gained is this incredible community. Of course, obviously with all of you online, but anywhere we go, I feel like we run into community. And I'll tell you just a quick story. So I'm sitting in my cabin here, my dad's cabin. I say it's my cabin, it's not mine. My dad and my mom bought this place, 10 or so years ago. And we come out here, and it's in a little tiny town in Colorado of about 300 people. And the parish in this town is there's maybe 100-ish or so people in this parish, and we love it. Like, this parish here in this town is amazing. We come out here, we go to mass, but we've never talked to anybody. We've never met anybody. We just kind of come in, go to mass, and do our thing. Well, when we got here the other day, we got here on a Saturday, and we went to mass Sunday, and I got home back here, and I got a message through social media where a woman says, "Keith, I wanted to tell you something. I have recently come back to my faith, and I came back to my faith after watching Estelle's conversion story, or her reversion story. I found you, and I just randomly found the Rosary Crew, and I recognized you, and you walked into my church this morning. And this person is from our parish. Never talked, nothing. Totally, completely random. And had her life so changed by Estelle's reversion story, and then through what's going on. So I got to meet this person on Wednesday at Daily Mass, and we're going to see them this weekend at church. Like, that kind of stuff like blows my mind to hear that this has made an impact on somebody. But just that everywhere you go, when you're Catholic, like, you walk into a Catholic church and you're home. And I know people fight about, well, I don't like that kind of church, and that priest is this, and that building doesn't look the right way, and they don't have the right kind of music or whatever. Okay, fine. But the truth is this: we have, through the sacraments and through the presence of Christ and the Eucharist and the unity that we have in our Catholic faith, we have this family that is far greater than anything I'd ever experienced. And now I'm experiencing it like in real ways in my life. And it's just absolutely incredible. So I've gained that. I've gained such a sense of peace in my life, and such a sense of connection with God through the saints, especially through the Blessed Virgin Mary and the Holy Rosary. That has been the greatest treasure. And I never saw that one coming, not in a million years, but it's blown me away. So I could go on and on and on about this, but there's other stuff I want to say too. So the stuff I loved when I first came into the church 5 years ago, I still love, but now it's like, it's a deeper love, and it's even more that hits me all the time. And I'm just scratching the surface. That's the other thing, is like, I 5 years in, I feel like I'm just getting started, which is so awesome, yet intimidating at the same time. And I feel just so blessed to be here, you guys. So I feel like that's quite a bit, to think about when you go, okay, well, where should you be in 5 years? I often think about like that. I'm a goal setter, you guys. And I go, okay, well, where do I want to be a year from now? What does that mean I need to be in 6 months? But when it comes to your faith, it's hard to set goals like that, apart from like physical things you can do. Like, okay, I have a goal that I want to go to daily mass 3 times a week and I want to read this book and do that. That stuff's great. But is there a goal that you have in your heart of how you want to relate to God or how much you love God? It's harder to do that, isn't it? But all I know is this: at 5 years, I am more grateful than I can imagine, and so thankful. And I just go, where is God going with this? Like, what is going to happen? And I'm excited. When I became Catholic, I had zero expectations of what was going to happen in my life. But here's what I've learned. You've got to stay focused on what helps and not what hurts. Because here's the other thing that I've discovered. Being Catholic doesn't mean that everything is perfect. It doesn't mean that everything is this, beautiful love fest everywhere you go. Because there's lots of human beings that, even though they're Catholic, are broken and sinful and evil. And, to a certain degree, that's all of us, really. So what I've learned is that just because I'm Catholic doesn't mean that my church faith experience is always going to be perfect. Quite the opposite. So what I've learned is I've had to try to do my best to stay focused on the things that help and to avoid the things that hurt. Now, let me just share with you some of the things that have helped me. Okay. And I've mentioned some of them already, but here are the things that have helped me. To have a priest who is a godly man and a loving man who can help, that's been a huge help. And I have been extremely blessed to have priests in my life that are godly men who love their flock and love the Lord and give selflessly and teach the faith. I've been blessed with that in my 5 years. And I know that that is not always the case. So for me, that is the thing that has helped. The other thing that has helped have been those Catholics in my life that have opened their heart and their life to me and Estelle and have walked with us through this and have offered friendship and community to us. There's a lot of people in my life that have helped me in that. Other things that have helped, obviously prayers and focusing on the things that are true, the official doctrine and teaching of the Catholic Church. That has been a big help to me, to be able to read the catechism and know what the church teaches and believes. Now, let me talk to you about some of the things that I've had to learn to distance myself from, okay? And this could be an encouragement to you. I think it should be, especially if you're a new Catholic like me. And I've had a lot of people reach out to me and say, hey, this is my 5-year anniversary too, or this year or whatever. So what are the things that have been things I've had to walk away from or turn my back on or avoid? And these might be different for you. Some of it I think has to do with our internal makeup, what we're more drawn to in our flesh. And the biggest thing for me that I've had to sort of like kind of step back from are the voices that come to me. I don't mean like I hear voices in my head, because I spend a lot of time online, of course, that are always wanting to talk about all of the problems in the church. It feels like there's this large contingent of people in the church, and especially in the online world, that have decided that their mission in life is to be like the tattletale to everybody else about anything that happens that they don't like or that's good. I mean, that's not good. And, I can get sucked into those things pretty easily. And I've had to learn to just kind of say, you know what, that's not helpful. That takes away my peace. Now, does that mean that I put my head in the sand and am not concerned about the problems in the church with the hierarchy and things that people have done and evil things? Of course not. No, I have no tolerance for those things. But does that help me grow in my faith? Does it help me grow in my walk with Christ to always be focused on these negative things that are seeking to cause division and to reveal to me that there are evil people in the church? No. Friends, it hasn't helped me. So I've most of that stuff I don't even pay attention to anymore. And unfortunately, sometimes there are people that still try to suck me into that. I'll have people in my life that'll just be like, oh, well, you got to see what this guy said and this guy did and blah, blah. Did you know this? And a lot of times I just go, I'm not interested. Well, don't you believe? Yes. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying that I'm not interested in that. Okay. But that's a struggle for me because naturally I could do that. Another thing that has been something I've had to learn to avoid, which has been even tougher. Maybe some of you that have followed me on this YouTube channel for a while have sort of, I don't know, noticed is I've had to kind of step out of the whole Protestant Catholic debate thing. And, a lot of my videos in the past were like Protestant Catholic, this kind of stuff. And I still make some videos like that here and there. But that's been a thing for me where I've kind of had to step back and go, okay, when we get in debates and arguments, how does that end up? Do people become more willing to join the Catholic faith, or do they just hate it all the more? And what I've learned is I do better with conversations with people versus like debates or whatever. And I have done debates. At least I've done one. I never really aired it. I think it's on my Patreon page. I put it on Patreon like a year ago and just like, watch this. But my deal is this. I've become so frustrated lately with those conversations because I felt like it's just become a display of who's the better arguer rather than who's right and who's wrong. So I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to become able to give a defense of the Catholic faith, and I feel like I can do that. Typically, I'm no Catholic Answers apologist or anything like that, but I can hold my own most of the time when people attack me about the Catholic faith. But I don't want to like make the center of my life to be going after people just for the sake of arguing with them. So I've had to kind of pull from that. And then I'll give you one more thing that I've had to sort of pull away from, and it's been tough. Thanks for hanging with me here, you guys. I've pulled away from the people that want to cause the divisions within the church. And specifically, it feels like it gets more pronounced when people want to start talking about like traditional Catholicism, and I don't even like that. Like now, full disclosure, I go to the Latin Mass. I love the TLM. I have my opinions about the Mass and all of that kind of stuff, but I am fed up with, and you'll probably hear it in my voice a little bit, I'm over the whole, well, are you a traditional Catholic thing? I can't stand that when people want to divide Catholics into these categories, because here's the deal. We're just Catholics. Protestantism is about division. Catholicism is about unity. Now, I understand that there's different issues and different things going on, but when we as Catholics contribute to that by referring to ourselves as, well, I'm a traditional Catholic, and should a traditional Catholic do this? And are you a traditional Catholic? You immediately draw a hard line in the sand. And in my opinion, you have contributed to divisiveness. So I'm just done with that. Now, if that's who you are, you do you, man. You do you. And we can be friends, and we can talk about the things that we like about the liturgy and the things that we don't like or whatever, this or that. We can do that. But when you start putting people into boxes and categories, I'm just checking out. I'm checking out. So that's one of the things I've had to step away from, okay? Because I don't want to be focused on divisions. I want to be like focused on what's true. And I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm holier than thou because I go to a certain kind of mass or pray a certain kind of prayer or do whatever. And I'm over the pride, self-righteous kind of thing. So there's probably more things I could talk about that I've had to avoid, but there's so many things that I have been drawn into that have been super helpful. And man, there's so much that has been absolutely awesome. So I'm thankful for that. I want to share just a little bit about kind of a life update and a ministry update and where we're going. And then I'm going to take your questions. So I hope you have some to fire away here shortly, and I'll get to them in just a minute. But let's talk about a life update first, if you care. And I don't really do a lot of this, but on this channel anyway, I feel like I have a little more freedom on the Rosary Crew to share with you guys because I feel like we're together all the time. But here's the deal. Our family, man, the Lord's been doing some great things in our family, and I'm really excited about it. So my wife and I have basically decided to devote our entire lives to doing ministry. So we sold our photography studio a couple of years ago, and we are basically just like all in on this. And we don't know what that's going to mean ultimately, but we've just said, God, whatever you want to do with us, we want to be available. Now, our kids have moved out of the house. Like, we don't have any kids living with us anymore. So we're kind of like freer in that sense. I've talked to some people who are trying to do ministry things, and they've got little kids at home. It's a different deal. But our daughter, Devin, who is 25 now, good grief. She lives in the same town we do, and she works. She's fulfilling what she wanted to do. She's an inner city school teacher. She teaches 4th grade, and she's doing great. She's got an apartment and a big dog named Griff that you see on the Rosary Cruise sometimes. She's a worship leader in a Protestant church, and she is just seeking God in her life in a way that I'm very proud of her for. And she is loving what she's doing right now. So I give thanks to God for that. Our middle son, Jesse, who is 23, he's still in the National Guard, but he's got a new job now. He lives in our town too. He's got a house, and he's playing in a band. He plays bass guitar in a band, and he is he's an awesome kid, man. He's a young man. And I'm very proud of him as well for all the things that he's doing. And then our youngest son, Drew, who many of you guys saw this year on NBC's Ninja Warrior. He fulfilled a life dream to be on that show, and he made it all the way to Vegas. So he's a national finalist on season 14 of NBC's American Ninja Warrior. And he's basically living his dream now. He moved to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. He works and trains at a ninja gym full time. He coaches people, and he trains, and he travels all around the country doing competitions and different things. And he's still in the National Guard as well. He just completed a very difficult thing that Jesse had done a couple years ago called Air Assault School. So, our kids are living their lives, doing their things, and we're very proud of them. So because they're all kind of gone, we have the ability, Stella and I, to travel quite a bit, and that frees us up. So we've been doing that a lot this year. We've been traveling quite a bit this year, and it's been great. We've thought about, well, maybe we want to move. Maybe we don't want to stay in our town anymore, because Iowa is we get the hardcore winters and we get the hardcore summers. But with 2 of our 3 kids like in our town, we're not going anywhere. So we just travel and when we can, and try to be around to help our kids out. So that's kind of a life update. Now let me talk to you about ministry update. 5 years ago when I became Catholic, kind of the toughest part of it for me at a certain point was letting go of ministry, and was saying to God, okay, this is what I do. This is the only thing I know how to do. And if I don't do this, then I don't know what I'm going to do. And to sacrifice that and let that go, I think I was like 43 years old or 42 years old at the time. Like, beyond just the economical impact of quitting your career and all of that, was just the idea of, what is my identity going to be and what can I do? And, when I got to that point where it's like, okay, God, I'm laying all this at your feet. You'll figure it out. God gave me this incredible peace. He gave me this incredible peace that I knew that what mattered in life wasn't what I did for a job. What mattered was I fulfilling my vocation as a husband and father? And was I serving God and I just wanted to be a good Catholic. That was my life's goal. Like, people are like, well, what are you going to do now when I quit my job? Like, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to roll into photography and take pictures with Estelle, and I'm going to just try to be a good Catholic. That was my answer. And I had no aspirations for ministry stuff. I never was going to write a book. I was never going to make videos or do any of that stuff. It was not on my radar. And, our photography business, I just jumped in with Estelle, which had been a side hustle for me for a few years while I was working full-time in the church. And I'm like, well, I guess this is what we're doing. So we both jumped in and we worked our tails off to try to absorb, to try to make up for all of the financial loss that we had incurred when I left my job. We just worked and worked and worked to try to do that. And, the truth is we never got there, but we got to a point where we were able to survive. which was all I really ever cared about. And, eventually I ended up getting another job where I was traveling around working with other photographers and stuff. And, that kind of just got us to that place where we were, stable, not anywhere near where we were before, but where we were stable. And that's all I cared about, you guys. I've never been motivated by money. I've never been motivated by like financial goals or any of that kind of stuff. I mean, we're blessed, but we live a modest life, you guys. I mean, we do not have like this extravagant lifestyle, and I've never really cared about that kind of stuff. And neither has Estelle. Like, Estelle's awesome. Like, she has never said to me, like when I was getting ready to quit my job to become Catholic, she never came to me and said, well, how are we going to pay for this? Or how are we going to do that? Or what about this? Or what about, like, never. She never had that on her mind. What she cared about was, Keith, is this what you feel God's called you to do? If it is, then that's what we're going to do. And whatever happens will happen, So anyway, we worked super hard. And then eventually when I started to dip my toe into ministry stuff, things started kind of happening. And I wrote that first book, The Convert's Guide to Roman Catholicism. And then opportunities started coming to me throughout 2019. And then, of course, we had an opportunity to join forces with an organization called Stewardship and Mission of Faith that's based out in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania, that, some of you guys have been out there with us, that really came alongside me and said, okay, we want to help you to form a ministry and do this. And I was kind of like, what does that mean? And, I met with these people that were amazing, and they basically said, look, we're going to help you do this, just if you're willing. But here's the deal, Keith, if you're going to do this ministry stuff, you have to be all in. You have to decide that you're going to jump in with this with everything you've got. You're not going to have a bunch of other side gigs and try to make money in other ways and go out and do all this stuff to try to do whatever. Like, this has to be your whole focus. Can you do that? And that was the day we met with them was the day we started our 33-day consecration to the Blessed Mother using Father Gately's 33 Days to Morning Glory. And that day changed our lives, man. It was incredible. And eventually, awesome, we decided to partner with Stewardship and start this ministry that we call Down to Earth. So a lot of you guys are like, what's Down to Earth? That's our ministry that we started. And, of course, there are lots of different parts of that. But I just want to give you an update on what we've been working on and what we're doing, okay? Down to Earth is a teaching ministry that seeks to teach the Catholic faith or to communicate the Catholic faith in a clear, engaging, and impactful manner. So I'm not one of these super intellectual guys that's going to, pull apart the Summa Theologica and have all of these heady conversations. I'm a down to earth kind of person. And that's kind of where that name came from, has a double meaning. But that's what I want to do, is communicate the faith in a way that the regular person can understand, not only the guy with a PhD in medieval, left-handed theology or something. I don't know. But what I'm saying is, we decided to take off and start this thing. And what was cool was I had an opportunity to go on EWTN, Marcus Grodi, Journey Home, and everything. And we started getting speaking engagements lined up, and all these things were coming together. And I'm like, okay, my last day, I quit my jobs, both of them, on February 27th of 2020. Okay. I went to do my first event down in Lafayette, Louisiana with some incredible people. And I was thanking God the whole time. Like, when I finished that up, I was like, I can't believe this is what I'm doing. Whatever happens, God, this is what I'm doing right now. And I'm super excited about it. Well, on the way home, like, the conference I had the next day got canceled because of COVID. And you guys know the drill. You guys know the story. Everything got shut down. And we were standing there looking at each other going, well, now what are we going to do? We just literally shut everything else down. All of the events I have are canceled except for one. And we don't know what we're going to do. Now, I know that everybody was in that boat. So it wasn't like, woe is me. It was like, what are we going to do? And of course, that's when the Rosary Crew started, was not long after that, on March 18th of 2020. And I just began to go, okay, we're just going to do things online. We're going to do what we can. We're going to live stream every day. And many of you guys have been a part of that. If you're new to this channel and you don't know what the Rosary Crew is, I have a second YouTube channel. It's called Rosary Crew with Keith Nestor. We pray the Rosary live stream on that channel every day. We've been doing it since March 18th, 2020. I never was going to be a Rosary guy. I prayed it, but I would never lead it. And the Blessed Virgin Mary just basically said, boom, I've got a plan, and here's what it is. And it's been incredible. So another thing that happened was later on that year, Estelle decided she didn't want to do photography anymore. So we shut that down. We sold the building that we owned. We had bought a building in our city, renovated it, and sold it. And then, like I said, I don't have, big financial goals, but we were kind of like, that's our retirement. We'll be this building. And we said, nah, let's skip that. Let's go buy an RV instead and travel around and pray with people. And we were shoveling snow when she had that idea. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So 2021, we bought the rosary vehicle and started hitting the road. Of course, it's been amazing. And you can watch videos. You can see the videos of our trip on the Rosary Crew with Keith and Esther channel. So that's how the Rosary Crew was born. It's been amazing. And in the midst of that, God has provided other things for us, out of that ministry of leading the rosary and the meditations. The latest book that we just wrote, or I just wrote, came out just a couple of weeks ago, Unpacking the Mysteries of the Rosary. And I am so proud of this book. It was a labor of love. It was a collaborative effort. God brought some people into my life that held my hand through that process, that I never would have been able to do without them. And man, God wanted that book to be written, you guys. He really, really did. I came out here a year ago to write this book. I'll show you a picture of it if you haven't seen it yet. Hold on, I got a little graphic of it. Check out how fancy this is. Hold on. Booyah. There it is, coming up right there. Unpacking the Mysteries of the Rosary. I came out here a year ago to this cabin to work on the manuscript for this book. And I wrote the Joyful Mysteries. It took me about a week. And I hated them. I was like, this is garbage. I went back and I was like, I'm not excited about this, but we can tweak it a little bit. Oh, wait, no, I'm getting the timeline wrong. I like the Joyful Mysteries. I wrote the Joyful Mysteries. I was like, I'm excited about this. That's right. Sorry. I'll catch up in a second. Then I got super busy with everything else we were doing. And it was a few months before I could work on it again. I came back out here in June. Some of you guys remember that when I was sick and I couldn't lead the rosary. I had John Shaw do that. That's when I wrote the rest of the manuscript in like 10 days. And that's when I was like, oh, this is garbage. I don't like it. And I was like, we're going to scrap it. I told the people at stewardship, I'm like, I just don't think this is going to work. It feels lame to me, because one of the things that I've struggled with a lot is just like self-doubt in the things that I'm doing, especially with writing, because I'm not a very good writer, I don't think anyway. But there's a lot of things that go into ministry in this sort of online thing that can make you think you're awesome. And there's a lot of things that can make you feel like you're a total loser. So when your YouTube channel is growing and everything is great and people are telling you how great you are, that can feel pretty good. That can stroke your ego a little bit. And the truth is that happened to me pretty fast. Like our YouTube channel, the first one just blew up out of nowhere. Well, then once we started doing the Rosary Crew live streams, it basically killed my YouTube channel, to be honest with you, this channel that you're watching right now. Because everybody that was coming to learn about Catholicism and conversion and stuff, all they saw was just live streams every day. Boom, 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 rosary, rosary, rosary. And, a lot of people were just like, boom. I mean, I think we've had over 10,000 people unsubscribe from this channel. And a lot of it was because they didn't come here for that stuff. But I wasn't making those other videos anymore because I was doing all this rosary stuff, right? And, it starts to mess with you when you see things, shrinking or not growing as fast. And I was like, you know what, whatever, I don't care. But here's the deal. When I wrote that, I was like just questioning in it. And I'm thinking about all the great books that I've written and all the other content creators I know that are so amazing in what they do. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, this is, garbage. Well, it was kind of funny because the September before I met, Bud McFarland Jr. at the stewardship conference. And I didn't know who Bud McFarland Jr. was. He's just a dude that came up to me and said, hey, Keith. And, he's like, come have a drink with me. I came to this conference to meet you. And I was like, all right. So I go out. I hope this isn't too boring for you guys. You can shut it off if you want. But we go out to this drink. And Bud, I don't know who Bud McFarland Jr. is, right? And he says, I want to help you with your next book. I'm going to help you edit it. And I'm like, I don't even know you, dude, but thanks. Thanks for that. And he gave me some books and I left. And I was like, all right, well, that guy was kind of interesting, but whatever. I don't know who he is. Well, then a few months later, I got home and I went to my friend's house and he had a case of Bud's books on the floor in his house. And I'm like, dude, I know that guy. He's like, you know that guy? That book is amazing. So I decided I better read it. So I read Bud's first novel and I was like blown away by it. So I called him. I'm like, hey, remember that one time when you said you'd help me with my book? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, I think I could take you up on that. So I went out to Cleveland to the Mary Foundation, and Bud and his son spent a lot of time and energy with me, helping me get this book going, and Stella and I would talk about it back and forth, and it was incredible. It was a lot of work. It was hard. And then we took this manuscript that Bud and Xavier and I, and we created this manuscript, and then I sent it in, and then two of my coworkers at Stewardship went through line by line, word by word, and we walked through everything, fixing as much as we could, doing all that stuff until we got the book. And now I tell you what, I am blown away by it. I love that book. And I don't take it like, I don't go, oh, I'm a good writer. I just go, God did something great. So that book just came out. I'm excited about that. I'm starting to see more opportunities come my way for speaking. And I want to share about that with you guys because honestly, that's been a struggle that I've had. It's hard to just put yourself out there as a Catholic speaker. It's hard to do that because what can happen is this. You can go out there and give a talk and people can come up to you and say, oh, that was a great talk. Hey, you should come here. You should come there. But unless you are independently wealthy, which I am not, and this is what you're going to do for a living. You have to get paid to do that, and that's hard because I don't like having to charge to do that kind of stuff. But I've got a whole team of people that work on this stuff anyway, and they handle all of that. But what happens sometimes is people just will say, oh, hey, I want you to come here. I want you to come there. And I'm like, great, invite me. But, it doesn't always happen. So sometimes it's like people are saying, oh, Keith, do this. But I want to go, like people say, oh, would you ever come to Canada? Would you ever come to England? Would you ever come to Texas? I'll go anywhere that I get invited to come. But yes, I have to, there's a fee associated with that because we have to survive and fund the ministry and help contribute to what people are doing at a greater level. So it's been tough, but I've started seeing some things happen, and it's been awesome. Especially like we just had the opportunity to speak at the Christ Our Life conference in Des Moines, which I totally level jumped on that. You guys, like, I don't belong there. I'm a brand new speaker. I've only been doing this for a couple years, and I mean, we got Chris Stefanik was there, Matt Fradd was there, Magnus McFarland, Patricia Sandoval. I mean, all these people who, Scott Hahn spoken there, Bishop Barron spoken there. It's like Deacon Harold, all of the guys that, are the top of the list. And then here comes me, a guy who has only been doing this for a couple of years. And they were like, no, we want you to come and share your talk. And it was incredible, you guys. The response that I had there was amazing. And people were so gracious. And the feedback that I've received from that has been unbelievable. And everybody was awesome. All the speakers I got to meet were great. And people were just so thankful for the fact that I was there giving that talk. And I was like blown away. And now we're starting to see some things pick up. We hit the road with the Rosary vehicle when we can. We were gone last year for about a month, but then gas prices went through the roof and we couldn't really afford to go anywhere, honestly. So the Rosary vehicle's been parked for a while, but we're making plans to hit the road again, probably somewhere in February. I think we're going to head south. What we're looking at right now, this is just talk at this point, but Stella and I are looking at just going boom, straight south. And we want to go to Louisiana. For me, that's kind of a cool place. I need to get a hold of the people that had me down there the first time, see if they'll have me back. But we may be heading that way. And when we travel for the Rosary, there's no money for that. Like we just take free will offerings, but we don't when you see us stopping to pray the Rosary with people on the road, the reason why we can do that is because somebody else had hired me to come be a speaker somewhere, and they've, paid us so we can travel. But when we stop along the way, like, we don't charge for that. We do take a free will offering if people give that to us, and we appreciate that. But we just want to go pray with people. So if we go down, that way, I'll be looking at our map of road captains, and we'll be trying to line up every day. We could be in a different place. We'd love to be with you. That's our favorite thing. Like, Stella and I love that more than anything, is when we travel with the Rosary vehicle and we get to stop and pray with you guys. We want to do that like all the time. So we're working towards that. So anyway, I see people in here throwing up, come to here, come there. Again, like I said, I'm happy to go anywhere that I get booked to be a speaker at. So talk to your bishop, talk to your priest, figure that out. People that lead parish missions, hey, we're available. So anyway, we're excited about that. But I got one more thing that I want to share about with you guys off the top of my head, and then we'll get to your questions. The thing that I am probably the most, that's dearest to my heart right now, that I'm most excited about is unpacking the Mass. Now, unpacking the Mass is our weekly Bible study through the readings for the upcoming Mass. And I've been doing that for a while now. I used to just tack it on to the end of the Rosary Crew on Sunday nights, but then we started making it its own thing. And you guys, I feel like I was born to do that. I feel like reading the scriptures and unpacking that and giving some meditations on those readings in a down-to-earth way to connect that to your life, that's what I'm here for. And I have really invested a lot of time and energy into doing that. And it's been awesome to see it's its own podcast now. I have Catholic Feedback, my podcast. I had to take that down to monthly instead of weekly just because I couldn't keep up with it. But I'm still doing Catholic Feedback monthly. But Unpacking the Mass, we're doing weekly. And I am so thrilled with that. It's now a podcast too. And my goal really ultimately is to see that grow. Now, I don't know how to grow it, to be honest with you. I can't do anything to grow that. I mean, it just has to happen. God has to do it, and you guys have to be committed to it and get the word out and spread it and share it and all of that. Because, I mean, I just make the videos and put them up and off they go, right? But the feedback I get from Unpacking the Mass, that's what feeds my soul. When people say, that helped me understand the Bible, or that helped me overcome this obstacle I was having in my faith, or that helped me connect this. That's what I'm here for. So I'm going to continue to double down on Unpacking the Mass. And I know it's a small group of people, relatively speaking, to my channel. I mean, we have almost 50,000 subscribers on my channel, which is amazing. And, we see 1,500 people watching Unpacking the Mass each week, which from a YouTube algorithmic deal, they're not going to help me out with that, because that's not a good ratio. But here's the deal. I don't care. My goal in life is not to grow some big YouTube channel. I'm over that. I don't really have any desire to do that. I want to see it grow for the sake of its growth, but I don't think that someday if I have 100,000 subscribers and they send me the little plaque, then I can just go, sweet, I've arrived. So anyway, I just want to keep working on that. I saw Jeremiah, I don't know if you're still with me, buddy, but I saw you say, Jeremiah's been with us for a long time. He said, you should try to grow your channel again. Consider doing that. I am. One of the things I'm doing out here is creating ideas for videos I used to make about different things related to the faith or whatever. And I'm working through some of that stuff. Again, I got the next one coming up next week. So I am going to be doing that. But the truth is, my heart is in Unpacking the Mass and the Rosary Crew. That's where I'm at. But I'm just trusting God for what happens today. And I know, here's the deal. I don't do things the way you're supposed to do them if you want to grow a big Catholic YouTube channel. I just don't. I don't talk about controversial things. I don't slam people, and I don't try to instill fear and work things up with people. That's what, if you want to grow a big channel, I know how to do that. I could if I wanted to. There's just not, to me, there's no point in that. For me, I'm not slamming anybody else who that's what they do. I'm friends with a lot of these people that do stuff and I love everybody. But my desire doesn't go that direction. So I just have to be just real with who I am. And I got to be real with you guys about who I am. And I want to make more videos that reveal that to you guys. Like I want to make videos that show you guys a picture of just like a real guy trying to be a good Catholic. And that's what I'm going to try to do here on this channel more. Okay. So every day we have a live stream on Rosary Crew with Keith Nestor. Every week we do Unpacking the Mass. Every month we do Catholic Feedback. And I'm going to start adding in more, hopefully weekly videos just on topics that I think would be helpful for people as they want to grow in the faith. Now, other goals that we've talked about. And then I'm going to turn it over to you guys now is someday I have this vision. I have this idea, this dream. Stella and I have been talking about this. We want to have like Rosary Crew retreats, okay? Like retreats of our own. Like we have conferences, but I want to have like I go to conferences, I speak at conferences, like we want to like create our own. And I would be super excited if one day the Lord opened up an opportunity for us to own like a big chunk of land and build a retreat center on this land. And we would live there. And I want to have a place for retreats. I don't want it to be like a huge retreat center. I'm talking like 100 people at the most, but also on this land. And then we could bring people in to do retreats like 4, 5, 6, 7 times a year, whatever. And it doesn't just have to be us. Like we could have other people come in and do retreats for different things. But I just have this vision for that I think would be amazing. And I also want to have like a hermitage on the property, some place where somebody who wants to be a full-time prayer warrior, okay, can come. And I don't, they don't have to be like some official church person or whatever. That'd be great if they were. But like, I just want to have a place where a person could come and live, and their existence would be fully devoted to praying for the church, for all of the people, the intentions of the people in our ministry, and all of that kind of stuff. And the ministry would provide for them. Like they would that's what they would do, and we would take care of them. And it's not to say that they would never have any interaction with people. Like I could see, like when we have retreats, the person in the hermitage comes and shares a story with us or whatever. I don't know how the whole thing works out, but like that's sort of like this pie in the sky vision that Estelle would have. And again, I have no idea that would have to be a God thing because I can't do that. But here's the deal: I don't worry about it because everything I'm doing right now I can't do, and it's a God thing. And if you had told me 5 years ago, guys, 5 years ago that I'd be doing this, there is no way in the world I would have believed you. No way in the world. And Estelle and I are so grateful that we get to do this. And, if you're a supporter of our ministry, if you're a patron, if you support us through our website, if you've, helped us financially in that way, you prayed for us, I just want to thank you because really, truly, you guys have been used by God in so many powerful ways. This is like a dream come true for me and for Estelle. And we don't take it for granted. We don't sit around and go, all right, how do we get to the next thing? How do we make more of this or whatever? We don't do that. The way that I'm set up, I'm not going to get into all of my situation, but the way that I'm set up, I don't make personal money off book sales, off speaking events, off any of this stuff. Like that's not how I'm set up. So what motivates me to do these things isn't to put money in my pocket because that literally doesn't impact me at all. It goes into a ministry pool that funds everything that we all do. And we get a set rate that comes from that, which is awesome because I don't have to like do things to try to make money in the ministry. I want to do things to grow the kingdom. And I'm so thankful for that. But at the same time, we need money so that there is a ministry to fund us. And you guys make that possible. So I thank you so much, my friends, for doing that. And I have a dream someday that the resources that come through down to earth will be so substantial that they will not only fund Down to Earth, but will fund other ministries as well. And that we can hire other people to do things within this ministry. And because we work really hard. Estelle basically volunteers to do all this stuff. And she's been crushing it with my social media lately. She spends probably 8 to 10 hours every day working on stuff related to this ministry. And she's not officially like on the payroll. So she's doing it out of the goodness of her heart and because she loves you guys and because she loves me. And she sees that I get stressed out when I can't keep up with everything I'm supposed to be doing. So she's like, I'll take care of that. And she's been blowing it away. I mean, just go to my Instagram, Keith Nestor Catholic. She's putting all this crazy stuff on there. It's amazing. So my friends, thank you from the bottom of my heart for being our family, for caring about what we say, for watching my content, for sharing it, for not unsubscribing. You know, like I said, we've had over 10,000 people unsubscribe. Thank you. Hopefully you're not one of them. And I will just give a shameless plug to say this because I can do this. Look at this. Press this button and that comes up. Please subscribe, share all that stuff. It's super important. If you want to find out more about our ministry, you can go to downtoearthministry.org and check things out about that. So with that, now I would like to take your questions and interact with you guys here in the live chat. So I know some of you had questions before. I might have touched on a few of them here, but we got a healthy crowd here gathered. So all right, let's see here. Ann says, please don't miss Dominic's comment. So many people feel like, okay, well, I already missed it. So tell me what it said. I can see some of your comments back up, but I only see like the last, maybe 15 of them. So anyway, okay, here's a question from Butch. Going back to your first confession, were you nervous? Were you surprised how you felt afterwards? Yes and yes. I was terribly nervous, Butch. I was horrified. I told Father Chris when I went to visit with him, I'm super anxious and nervous about this. I'm terrified about it. And he says, well, and I said to him, when should we do this? And he said, I think we should do it right now. And he started my confession. And I was terrified, but he walked me through it. And I've never felt better in my life. Like I was blown away. I physically felt lighter after that. And I often feel that way after confession. Confession is one of the greatest things about Catholicism. People often say things like, why do you have to confess your sins to a priest? I'm like, no, dude, you don't understand. It's not a have to, it's a get to. Thanks for that question, my brother. Okay, Grandma, putting finances out of the equation. How rich did you find yourself? And how rich do you find yourself now? 5 years ago to now, you know what? I felt like I'd won the lottery when I became a Catholic. I really did. And because I'm like, I'm finally here. I'm finally home. But yet I feel even more rich now because I'm just continuing to grow and continuing. But honestly, like at that moment of making that decision and coming into the church, I felt like the richest guy in the world, to be honest with you. I felt like, Jesus talks about that guy who sold all he had to buy the treasure hidden in the field. And then he dug it up. Like that's what I was doing. I found the treasure in the field, but I had to sell that stuff to get it. But I got a treasure, right? It was amazing. It was amazing. Victor says, I didn't know 10,000 people. It's probably a lot more than that now. I mean, I checked that I think I checked on that maybe 6 months ago and then I was depressed. So I stopped looking, but I'm sure it's more. So that's all. All right. What else can we do here? Oh, thank you so much, you guys. I've been watching from the beginning. I pray. Thank you so much, Esther, and all of your comments, you guys. Amazing. Okay. When you have gotten together, you take group pictures. Can you share that? A lot of those are on Facebook. Yeah. I don't know about all of them, but they're in the videos of the Rosary Crew road trips. But yeah, they wind up on social media a lot of times. Okay. I am looking for more questions. Okay, is this a question here? My Protestant friends from the South say the Catholic Church should sell all the expensive artwork and landmarks to give money to the poor. If the church doesn't do it, how can they expect people to? Oh, okay. That's a great point, Richard. I've dealt with that a lot. Now, here's the way I look at that is, first of all, you got to remember the Catholic Church does more for the poor than any other organization that's ever existed on the face of this planet. So that's number one. But the truth is, the Catholic Church is the custodian of much of this artwork that's beautiful because it teaches the faith and it glorifies God. So if the church sold it, then you don't have anything that can glorify God in these beautiful buildings and in this artwork. So I kind of look at it like that's part of what the church is part of its mission, is to, through these beautiful things, to give glory to God. But, you could say the same thing about any big megachurch that has a gajillion-dollar facility and pays their pastors $1 million a year and all of that kind of stuff. This shouldn't just be a Catholic thing. Go to some of your friends in the South megachurches and take a look around at their gajillion-dollar facilities and their senior pastor's private jet and limousines. I mean, it is a thing. I know not everybody's like that, but that's a thing too. All right. So anyway, Richie says, what would you say to that? I just said that to that. Hopefully that helps. All right, let's see here. Okay, I'm looking for more questions. Okay, here's one from Chris. You can see kind of how far back I am. Keith, when you became Catholic, what did your Protestant friends and family say? Well, a lot of them said, what? Why would you do that? Have you lost your mind? Others said, well, tell me why. I mean, I had various reactions. It wasn't just one set of reaction. I had a lot of different reactions. Some were kind of like curious, some were very hostile, and some were supportive. Thankfully for me, like most of the people that were in my, immediate family and people that are in my everyday life were pretty supportive for the most part. Keith, are you getting any hate mail, and how are things between your family since you converted? Well, I don't get hate mail, but I get hate comments, but that's to be expected. I get hate emails sometimes, but my family, my family's doing fine. When I first converted, my kids really had a lot of struggles with it because they were teenagers and their dad was the pastor and now he's Catholic and now they don't know where to go to church and they don't understand. And it was hard. And I probably did a lot of things wrong back in that original time. But now, now it's a totally different situation. They're still not Catholic, but they're very supportive of what we're doing in the ministry. So yeah. Oh, you guys are awesome. Okay. What is the best way to financially support the ministry on a monthly basis? Patreon, donation to the website. The truth is, either one is good. If you're on Patreon, you're going to get some extra things. Like we're going to be doing Zoom hangouts and other stuff. That's because I have to do better at that. Through the website, I think probably a little bit more of the money just comes to the ministry. But anytime you're doing any kind of online things, there's always a little bit that you have to give to whatever company uses that. But either one that you feel comfortable with is really ultimately awesome. I'm just grateful and thankful for that. So thank you guys for doing that. Bernice says, let us know when you were in Southern California. I would love to do that. The truth is, when I look through my YouTube analytics, I have more people from California than anywhere else, and I've never been booked to give a talk in California. So all of you from California that are watching, let's get a talk scheduled out there so we can check it out. That would be awesome. Okay. Dominic said that he has not felt God's presence since he left the evangelical church and came into the Catholic Church. What would you say to him? I don't, I'd have to, or that she, sorry. Wait, I said that she, so whether Dominic is a she or a he, I'd have to talk to that person a little bit more before I would know what to say to them. It's hard for me to give a good answer to something about that without having more information. But I would say, spend time in the Eucharist or in Eucharistic adoration and pray the rosary every day. And, feelings will come and go. So, yeah. Okay. Can we have Gregorian chant lessons and sing? If John Shaw comes, we can, which would be awesome. That would be great. I would love that. Okay. Struggling with the Protestant husband, not wanting me to return to the Catholic Church. Any advice? Oh yeah. Yeah, that's tough. And again, there's a lot of things that go along with that I would need to get in the thick of that with. But I would say you've got to you've got to have a lot of heart-to-heart conversations about why you're feeling led to return to the Catholic Church and how amazing it is, and understand what his objections are. Because sometimes we answer objections people don't have, and we ignore the ones that they do. So I would say start to work through those objections that he has, and begin to tackle those one by one. But be patient with him, and hopefully he'll be patient with you as well. Awesome. Okay. Looking through more questions. Yeah, you guys are awesome. You guys are encouraging each other. Okay, let's see here. How do you deal as a former Protestant, as I was? There is every time new think about Catholic attacks. Okay. How do you deal? Okay. When people attack the faith, I think that's what you're saying. How do I deal with it? You know, I used to argue a lot about it. Now it's rare that I do. Sometimes I have to. Sometimes there'll be somebody on my channel that just like says something that totally gets my goat, and I'm just like, oh, I got to respond to that person. But most of the time I feel like people that are attacking the faith, I'm just another guy. They just go through and cut and paste, and I just let that stuff go. 5 years, you already look like Moses. Well, I don't know what Moses looked like, but he's probably taller than I was, or than I am. Awesome. Okay. Since it's 5-year anniversary, are you planning to make an appearance at the Coming Home Network once again? I would love to. I think Marcus is retired now. I did get to interview him a couple years ago on Catholic Feedback. You can watch that on this channel. It's a great interview. I love that guy. But John Mark is doing the interviews now. And I know they kind of had to shut down the in-person ones from COVID, but now they're back running and doing stuff. I would love to go back there again. I loved it. I loved it there. That'd be cool. If they invited me, I would love to come back. So yeah, AG's your humility and genuine, dude, brother, I appreciate you. I know you've been around forever, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I really do. Sometimes I go back and I've watched like old streams and I see some of the same people in that. And I'm just like, man, I'm so thankful for that person that's still with us. It's amazing. So thank you guys for that. Okay. He is a he. I put she in here. All right, cool. Thanks for the clarification there. Did you ever have a dark night of the soul in your 5 years? Not in the last 5 years. I haven't. Now, does that mean it'll never happen to me? No, it doesn't mean that. I don't know, but I'm just for now, the last 5 years, I've had discouragement. I've had struggles like everybody, but like when I hear the dark night of the soul, I think of St. John of the Cross. That's like an enduring, deep, difficult thing. And I haven't really walked through that to this point in the last 5 years. Okay, this is a good question here. Are you interested in joining some lay part of religious orders in the church, Dominican, secular Franciscan, secular Carmelite? I would say this, not at the moment, but I would not rule that out. I would not rule that out. I would have to, if the Lord led me that direction, I would definitely consider that, but I haven't like felt led to that at this point in time. So not yet, but maybe someday. Okay, this is a good question. Is there anything from your former Protestant faith that you miss? Yeah, you bet. There are things like I miss sometimes the emphasis in my former Protestant church that people put on welcoming new people and forming relationships right away and things set up to make that happen. For example, you know, our churches that we worked in had a very healthy small group ministry that was designed to incorporate new people almost immediately if they wanted to be a part of that. So that way we weren't losing people through the cracks or whatever. I miss that. You don't see that as much in Catholic churches. I'm not saying that there aren't Catholic churches that do that, but I miss that part of it. And this will be kind of a shocky answer for some of you, but I do miss, sometimes I miss the contemporary worship music. You know, I mean, I go to the Latin Mass. I love Gregorian chant. I don't miss that in the Mass. Like, and I'm not I don't love the goofy hymns and the Novus Ordo most of the time. I just kind of tolerate that. I love Gregorian chant. I love it. I love it. I love it. But I also love like contemporary praise music. And I don't want that to be in the Mass, so to speak. So I'm not like, oh, just go to the guitar Mass. Like I've been there and done that, and it hasn't really been the same. But we would have worship experiences in the Protestant church with just praise and worship, where that's just what we would do. And that was awesome. I kind of have that in adoration in a different and more full way, but I miss the musical aspect of that at times. But do I ever go, would I ever go back to like a Protestant mega church because of a band? No, here's the deal. I'll say this is God's honest truth. I think you understand what I mean by this. The worst Novus Ordo I've been to, I would not trade for the best like Protestant contemporary worship experience. The worst Novus Ordo to me is more fulfilling to my heart than the best contemporary praise and worship music experience. Okay, because of the sacrament and because of because of where we are with we are part of Christ Church. But like we had at the Christ Our Life conference, they had a contemporary praise and worship music group, and there were things that weren't in the mass that were worshipy, and I'm cool with that stuff. I know that's not for everybody. I know there's some Catholics that hate that, and that's fine. You do you, but that was for me. That was something about that. Okay. Okay. Oh, Grandma, another question from her. Do you sometimes find it positively overwhelmed by everything you do or have gone or going? I'm overwhelmed every single day with that. Yeah, I'm overwhelmed with how amazing it is, but I'm also overwhelmed with how much I can't do that I want to do. But yeah, it's totally overwhelming. Any plans of composing songs about the faith? Yes, I do. Well, plans would mean like, okay, next month you're going to do that. But I do still do some music stuff. I have a buddy of mine who we're working on a musical project right now. It's not Catholic. It's not like he's not a Christian guy. He's a good friend of mine, and we're working on this together. It's not really about anything. It's just kind of more musical. But just through our friendship and recording instruments and stuff like that, I've sort of like have that itch again to write songs and music, because I used to do that a lot. And I've got ideas in my head for some musical projects that are more related to the faith. I will warn you, though, you will probably hate them, because the music that I like is not the kind of music that a lot of people like that are Catholic. I like heavy music, and people, I had somebody like tell me that the intro music to Catholic Feedback is not Catholic because it's a guitar riff. They're like, you shouldn't have that. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Then you do not want to hear what other stuff I like to do, because, I've always been a guy who likes heavier music. But I like music that glorifies God. So if you can, when you bridge those two together, boom. Okay. How about this one? Any advice regarding confession now? I'm a cradle Catholic, and to this day I have to fight anxiety. Any advice? No, just to keep doing it. I think it's cool that you have anxiety to go back in the box. We should, because here's the thing. That's the war against our flesh, or with our flesh and spirit. The devil is always going to try to make you do that. So what matters isn't like, the goal of it should not be to reduce the anxiety. The goal of it is to still be obedient in the midst of that and fight through that. So when you have that anxiety and you fight through that, high five, man. That's what's awesome. So the advice would be to power through it. Yeah. Okay. My friend is Catholic and talks about going to another church or denomination. How can I help? Well, I think you should have conversations with your Catholic friend and say, look, you really don't need to be doing that. But I don't know why they're saying that. So, but you should definitely talk to them about that and tell them to stay connected. Okay. How do you feel after conversion to see the CC split to the left, the middle of the, yeah. I talked about this earlier, Jeremiah. I don't know if you were on, but how do I feel about it? I hate it. I hate all this divisive stuff. I hate the fact that people in the Catholic Church lump each other into categories and try to be divisive and try to pit this group against that group. I can't stand it. Have you asked yourself, what have you got yourself into? No, I've never done that, because I understand that's what human beings do. But not a fan of that. We all need to be united and unified, and we need to be, and I know this is part of the problem, and here's the line I draw around that, okay? And this might clarify my position a little bit. I have no tolerance, none whatsoever, for Catholics that veer off of the teaching of the church, okay? Liturgical abuses, no, okay? All of the stuff that people are like rebelling and like anything that is outside of the lines of what the Catholic Church officially teaches and allows, if you're outside of that, then see ya, right? but within that is what I'm talking about. So, if some of these people, especially I would say more on the the extremes of the left and the right, you've got people on the left that are extreme, that are violent, that are, advocating for things that are outside of what the church teaches. See ya. I don't even really consider myself part of that. If you don't profess and proclaim and live according to the Catholic faith, then at some point in time, you're not even Catholic anymore. So I don't go, hey, whatever. Same thing with if you go too far on the right, you can find yourself doing the same thing. So, but if we're within that, then we should be united. Whether you like the TLM, whether you like the Novus Ordo, whether you like contemporary music, whether you like traditional music, whether you receive on the tongue, whether you receive in the hand, if you're within the bounds of what the church officially teaches, you shouldn't be slamming other people who do things a little bit differently from you, as long as we're within that. That's my take on it. Okay. That's my take on it. Keith, do you plan to have future collabs with Trent? Your collab was, thank you so much, Francine. That was the second time Trent came on my channel. I told Trent Horn that he's got an open invitation anytime he wants to come back on my channel. He's welcome to do so. I would be happy to collaborate with him, but that's up to him, I guess. So yeah. Okay. But I love Trent Horn, and I'm very thankful he took the time to come on the channel again. Who are your patron saint? Ignatius of Antioch is my patron saint. Favorite saints? I'm learning a lot about St. Francis. So Bethany gave me this book to read. I've been working through this, and man, talk about intimidation. Good grief. This dude was hardcore, man. But I'm learning about him, and so I would say those two right now are the ones I'm most interested in. I'm reading St. Faustina's diary. That freaks me out sometimes, but I'm working through that, and being inspired by that. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Colette, you're so awesome. I hope everything's good for you guys down there in Florida. I've been praying for all of you guys, your family. Thank you for your encouragement. And, okay. I have no idea how far down I am from the comments, but I'm going to keep going here until I don't see any more, because I'm having fun with you guys, and I appreciate you guys being here with me this long. Okay. Keith, can you get Father Donald Calloway on the show? He's so fun like you. I've invited him. Okay. I invited him a couple years ago, and he at the time declined. So if you know him personally, say, hey, you should go on Keith Nestor's channel, because I love Father Calloway. He's one of my favorite guys. I like everything about that dude. I think is awesome. So I have invited him, but he's a busy guy. He doesn't have time to go on everybody's channel and do all this stuff. So I don't take it personally when I invite people to come on the channel and they say no. Sometimes it makes me upset, but I don't whatever, because I understand people are super busy and they've got things going on, especially priests. But I would love to have him. I would love to have him. Okay. Do you ever feel certain people in the parish always run everything? I had a lady tell me her name would live on because probably. And the truth is, probably it's because the truth, I think it's the same thing in Catholic as it was in Protestant churches. 20% of the people do 80% of the work, so just make sure this, if you're ever complaining about the way something's run, have you stepped up to volunteer to be a part of it? Now, maybe you haven't, they've shut you down, but maybe you haven't, you just sit back and complain. But yeah, a lot of times people will do that because they, it's their thing. Okay, let's see here. Trina, good point. The music can only take you so far when you don't have Jesus. That's my point, is when I go to adoration, I never feel like I'm lacking anything. But sometimes I do miss, different worship, but it's nothing compared to the Eucharist. All right, let's see here. Did you ever think about doing a Bible study? We do unpacking the Mass every single week. That's our Bible study. I did a Bible study with Father Mark Goring a couple years ago through Acts. We almost made it all the way through, and then he had to bow out. But that's on this channel, by the way. I don't think it's in a playlist, but if you dig down into the depths of the archives, you'll find it. But yeah, unpacking the Mass. That's our Bible study every single week. And yeah, praise joy. Thank you so much. Yes, join the Daily Rosary. Praise God. We'd love to see you guys there. Keith and Father Mike Schmidt. Oh, I love all those guys. Yeah, Father Mike Schmidt, Jeff Cavins, those guys would be amazing. So, all right. Have you ever thought of doing a series on the history of the church? Whew. Man, I don't have the ability to do that right now. That would be way too time intensive to do that. But I think it would be super cool. Okay. Yeah, Teresa, maybe you could go back to playing in a band, travel around playing. That would be fun. I would love to do that. Do you think a convert could become a pope? I hope so. That would be awesome if a convert became a pope. Maybe there already has been. Probably. All right. Yo, dude, good to see you, man. Happy anniversary. Oh, to me, that's what you're saying. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you, brother. All right. Yeah, Jim's got great advice here. If you struggle to go to confession, then things like first Saturdays, first Fridays can be good since it forces you to schedule it. Excellent advice. If you ever struggle, make a schedule and do that. And those are good days to do it, by the way. Just make sure you get to church in time. Like I know our parish, man, if you try to go to confession on those days, you'll be waiting. But that's okay. That's okay. Okay. The Victor, JPR. Hey, Brother Keith, I'm coming into the faith after 30 years of lukewarmness. Praise God. I want to go to adoration. How do you approach it? Do you sit in the presence of the Lord in silence? Any advice? Yes. So here's the deal. I have done different things in adoration. I've read books. I've journaled. I've done things. But for the last, couple months, I have just personally felt convicted to sit in silence. And because that's so much of my life, there's always something happening. There's always somebody talking. There's always something on the thing. I'm listening to something, watching something. And I have felt like, okay, I need to just go and sit there and listen. And so that's what I've been doing. And it's been great. Now, I don't know that I'll do that forever, but I would say go and pray, sit in silence, maybe bring your Bible, something. But don't be intimidated. Just go. And if you don't feel like you know what to do, that's okay. That's okay. One of my good friends told me a long time ago that going to adoration is like getting a spiritual blood transfusion. When you're getting a blood transfusion, you don't have to do anything. You just have to lay there, right? Same thing when you go to adoration. Just be there and soak up the presence of God and worship the Lord and give him your praise. I think that'll help you in so much. Okay, let's see here. Will, how you doing, brother? I'm a pastor. I'm in journey to Catholicism, but sometimes I hate when the Catholics run the process and talk bad things about us or just want to talk about the papacy. In your process, I don't know if there's anything else coming, but yeah, you know what? Here's the deal. Will, I don't think it's helpful when people talk bad about anybody. And that was, could have been a struggle for me at one point in time when I was discerning Catholicism. And there were people in the Catholic Church that just bashed me as a Protestant. That didn't make me want to join the Catholic Church when other Catholics who knew I was going through the discernment process were like, oh yeah, you stupid Protestants, you do this, you do that. Like that wasn't helpful to me. So at some point in time, I just had to distance myself from the people who were not helpful and surround myself with the people that were. So I would suggest that if you're in a place and people aren't helpful, there's the great thing about Catholics, there's a lot of them. Go find the good ones that'll help you. But I'm happy to hear about your journey, my brother. All right. How tall are you? How tall are you? I'm not going to answer that, but I'm probably not as tall as you wish I was. If you ever come see me speak someday, you'll find out. No, I'm like 5'6". Okay, Chris, how you doing? Are there any Catholic teachings that you accept but still struggle with? Yeah. I struggle, like a lot of people do, with hell. I struggle with it. And I know there's like a movement in the world, in different layers of Orthodoxy and Protestantism, and maybe even in some Catholicism, where people want to try to like de-emphasize the reality of it or try to come up with a way around it. I mean, the Catholic Church teaching on hell is hard, and I struggle with it, but I accept it. Sometimes I struggle with the Catholic Church teaching on marriage and divorce. Sometimes that seems really hardcore to me. If you've got a person who was married outside the church, but they were Catholic and they want to become Catholic, but there's no way they can get an annulment, but whatever. But the church is pretty hardcore on that. I can struggle with that sometimes from like more of like a pastoral understanding, but I accept it. And I think that's okay. I don't think that it's wrong to have things that you don't fully like. I think it's okay to struggle with things as long as you are obedient. But I think we have to be honest, and there probably are things that we struggle with, and there's probably more that I would struggle with. But I will tell you this: I'm going to be a faithful son of the church, and even if I do struggle with something, I'm going to defend it and proclaim it as the truth, because I don't get to decide what's true. I don't get to create dogma and doctrine. That's revealed by God. And if that's what God has revealed to his church, then, doesn't matter what I think. So, yeah. Anyway, okay. All right. I'm going to try to like stick to more questions here that have to do with things I can answer. So, okay, let's see. Would you consider using the Catechism of the Catholic Church to integrate unpacking the Mass? Yeah, I think I have done that at times. I know I've done that on Catholic Feedback. But yeah, I love that. I think that's a great idea. Okay. What advice would you give for someone whose parent has left the Catholic faith and frequently attends evangelical service, but that person still thinks they're Catholic but are not being? Yeah. It's hard to give advice like third or fourth hand. It's hard for, like, when people say to me sometimes, hey, I'm in an argument with this guy, what should I say to him? I can't really do that. I can't really speak to what you should say to somebody else because I'm not in that conversation. So it's hard for me to this is like the third degree of separation, because you're asking me for someone else whose parent has left. I don't know. I think that you have to constantly challenge Catholics who want to leave for those reasons. I think you have to challenge them and explain to them why they shouldn't do that. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you can't prevent them from doing that. But I would, I don't know. It's different when people are Catholic and leave versus people who are never Catholic. I tend to have a lot less tolerance in my life, or whatever, for people who are like practicing the faith and then they want to leave for those reasons than I do for people like Protestants who've never found the faith. I have a lot of grace for Protestants who don't know about the Catholic, because that's how I was. And I know what it's like to be on the outside and not understand everything. But for people who've been in and then they leave for dumb reasons, I just, man, the advice I give probably wouldn't be very good. Okay. Any possibility of going on Matt well, I get that. You can ask Matt. The possibility of me going on that would be 100% if he ever said, hey, Keith, come on my show, which actually he did year and a half ago, but it didn't work out timing wise, but maybe he'll reinvite me. That would be awesome. I love that show. I did get to hang out with him at the Christ for Life conference, and he was an awesome guy. Like, as soon as I walked into this little meet and greet thing, he came right up to me and was like, hey, Keith, I see you on YouTube. And he was super gracious and awesome. And I really enjoyed hanging out with him. He's a good dude, man. So yeah, I would be honored to go on his show. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. What do you mean St. Faustina's diary freaks you out a little? Okay. I'll tell you what I mean by that. Like, I get freaked out about how holy she is and how much she reflects on her own lack of holiness at times. Like, she's so critical of herself. And I look at her and I'm like, man, I'm nowhere near what you are. So it just like intimidates me so much, And the other thing that freaks me out is I wish, and maybe I haven't gotten far enough into the diary yet, because I'm not very far into it. I'm probably like maybe a third of the way into it. I wish she was happier. Like, I feel like she's like so depressed and sad and miserable all the time. And I want to see her like be happy. Maybe she gets happy later on. I don't know. But so that kind of freaks me out a little bit. Keith, what can you say about those who were born Catholic but leave Mother Church? I say that's tragic, but I don't know all the reasons why people leave, and I can't judge somebody, I've had people say, well, I've had, people are abused by their priest or whatever and then leave. Like, I can't be the guy to judge somebody, but I think it's sad. Have you ever attended a healing mass? Yeah, I did. I've attended a healing mass. Actually, when I was a Protestant, I did. I thought it was pretty interesting. Okay, let's see. Any possibility of Estelle might want to do videos for a newer Catholic woman's perspective? There isn't a lot of that. Well, that's very interesting that you say that, Roxy, because we talk about that sometimes, and Estelle's, she's seeking God for what she wants. One of the things that God has put on her heart is that she wants to share her story too. And we had an opportunity to do that in Pennsylvania earlier this year. We shared our story kind of parallel together, her side, my side, her side, and it was awesome. And she felt really led to do that. So she's been working hard on a couple talks actually. So she's going to be available to do that at some point in time. And now videos, she's thinking about it, but she's not sure about that yet. But yeah, I think, that could be a thing. Okay. Looking down here. All right. Okay. Michael Lofton. Yeah, I like Michael. I'm going on Michael's show, I think on the 20th. He's been on my show. I've been on his show. I think I'm going back on there to talk about the Rosary book on the 20th. Michael's a good dude, man. Okay, let's see. I love the little short you and Estelle put out on the St. Francis. More of that would be awesome. Sweet. Thank you. Okay. Do you listen to some of Father Chris Ayler's talks in Divine? Yes, I do. I love that guy. And I've listened to a few of his talks. I listened to one just the other day on Padre Pio. I love Father Chris Ayler. Fantastic stuff. I love Rose. First time finding it. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that you are here. Please look around. We got a ton of stuff on here. So I'm glad that you are here. Thank you guys so much. What time do we pray the Rosary live? 5 p.m. Central, Monday through Friday. Saturdays and Sundays is usually in the morning. It can vary. And every day is subject to if we're traveling. But 99 times out of 100, it's 5 p.m. Central, Monday through Friday. On the channel, Rosary Crew with Keith Nestor. So check it out. I'm glad to have you here. Okay. I recently joined RCI. Love it. Good job. Awesome. Any advice on being nervous or shy going to church? Yeah, I understand that. Don't worry about it. If you're shy, that's okay. If you're nervous, that's okay too. Just walk through it slowly at your own pace and soak it up, and it'll be absolutely awesome. Welcome home. I'm glad to hear that. All right. Good to see all of you guys here. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, good news here. After a quick search, looks like Pope Symmachus 498 to 514 was from paganism. Excellent. Thank you, Brother Jim, for sharing that with us. Good man. What time is the live rosary tomorrow morning? Okay, live rosary tomorrow morning will be at 9 a.m. Central. 9 a.m. Central. 8 a.m. Mountain. I'm in Mountain Time right now. So I'm going to do it at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. This will be 9 a.m. Central. That's the plan. Thank you, Andrea. All right. Let's see here. Oh, I still said 8 a.m. Central. It's going to be 9 a.m. Central. It'll be 9 a.m. Central. Okay. If I'm not mistaken, I thought you said you had started reading the diary. Was it helpful? I haven't finished it yet. And let me finish it before. I'm sure, of course, you're reading a saint. It's going to be helpful in some way. But once I finish it, I will make a video and share my thoughts about it with you. But it's going to be a while because that book is huge and I'm a slow reader. All right. Okay. Still looking. Okay, here we go. Do most Protestants reject the teaching of purgatory except? Most reject. Most Protestants, not all. Most Protestants reject that. That was one of the things that Luther was like, boom, gone. And the reason why was because he didn't want the Pope to have any authority or power. And that was kind of a thing that was going on. So, most Protestants reject that. But it's interesting. If you really press them, they will admit to the possibility of another realm between heaven and hell. They will see that, but they don't understand the whole purgatory thing. Okay. All right. This is a good question. Does it still have motorcycle license? No way. She does not. Keith, what are upcoming projects? Well, we got this pilgrimage to Guadalupe, Mexico City. We still have a few spots available if you're interested in that. You go on to downtoearthministry.org and you can sign up. It's going to be an incredible pilgrimage. So that's coming up. That's January 15th to the 21st. Would love to have you join us on that. And then I've got, Unpacking the Mass, Rosary, and then lots of videos for this channel. I'm going to be putting out videos every week on this channel about other things related to the faith, in addition to everything that's already going on. So pray for me, my friend. Okay. Have you ever thought about being a deacon? Share your thoughts on it. I really haven't, to be honest with you. My thoughts on it are this. I'm really, and I hate to say it, but I'm having so much fun doing what I'm doing right now. Unless God taps me on the shoulder and says, Keith, it's time to become a deacon, I'm not going to go off course. I feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And being a deacon just isn't something that interests me at the moment. Now, that could change. And if it does, then I will. But at the moment right now, I feel like it would kind of slow me down from what I'm doing right now. I know some guys that are deacons, and man, they work hard and they went to school forever to do that. And I'd have to kind of shut everything down to go do that. And I'm not really feeling, not really feeling like that's where I'm supposed to be at the moment. Okay, I'm looking for more questions. Here. Okay, will you ever do a retreat to Israel, Lords? Well, this pilgrimage to Guadalupe was originally going to be a rosary retreat or rosary pilgrimage to Israel. That was what they first asked me about, because I think that would be so cool to pray the rosary at the sites of the rosary, right? But when Select International approached me about doing a pilgrimage, that was when we were still in the thick of all the COVID stuff. And there was all these vaccine things that you had to have in order to go on different trips. And I didn't want to do that. And then I felt like the Lord say, you're supposed to go to Mexico. So I really felt like that was where we were supposed to go. But maybe in the future, if this one goes well. So, we're working with Select International. They're a big Catholic pilgrimage company. And they approached me and said, we want you to be, one of our tour leaders and do this. Well, if the first one goes well, I'm sure they're going to approach me about another one. But it'll remain to be seen. I think it's going to be amazing. We've got a good group of people signed up already. I think we've got like 25 people signed up right now, which is going to be an awesome group. My goal is 30. So there's more room, but we're going to have a blast. And I bet they're going to say, Keith, let's go to Israel next year. So maybe we'll have to see how that goes. But I would love to, and I'd love to go to Lourdes. I love to travel, and I want to go to all these places. So, yep, that's on my list. Okay. Let's see. Okay, now you guys are asking like some theological questions. So those could turn into long answers. I'll try to do stuff like rapid fire. Am I correct that the Protestant philosophy is, are we saved by grace, that we aren't under law anymore, so rules just... here's the deal. Cole, I know this is going to sound like a weird answer. There is no Protestant philosophy, okay? There are lots of different Protestant philosophies, but there isn't one Protestant philosophy. So you could talk to different Protestants about different things, but we Catholics believe that we're saved by grace and we aren't under the law anymore. Okay, so you could say that's a Catholic thing too. We're not under the Jewish law anymore because it's been fulfilled in Jesus Christ. We are saved by grace through faith, the gift of God. We believe that as Catholics. But now the next thing you say, no rules, just the free gift of salvation. Nobody believes that. Okay, even the ones that say they believe that, they don't. They'll still go find some Protestant guy who's like, there's no, it's all Jesus, all grace, no works. Okay, well then why don't your pastor just say that and goodbye? They're always going to talk about what the rules are after that. So I don't really buy that. But yeah, okay. I know that probably was a terrible answer to your question. Okay, do Catholics and Orthodox differ on two natures, temptation of Jesus? I don't know what you mean by temptation of Jesus. Two natures of Jesus. I don't know. That'd be a Michael Lofton question because he's the expert in Orthodoxy. I am really not an expert in Orthodox theology. So I'm hesitant to, I don't think that they have a differing opinion on the two natures of Jesus, I don't think so, but we'll see. Okay. I answered the question about the pilgrimage thing. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see you there. People keep asking where he will do a retreat. Yeah. Oh man, the Mexico one's going to be so epic. I can't wait. But I'd love to do another one here. The Lord will do it. Okay. How did you like the guys from the Catholic Talks? Jerks. They were no, I'm just kidding. They're great guys. I love the guys. And I was just actually we interviewed to be on it again. So that'll be my second time on there. And I mean, they're dudes like me. I love those guys. So they're awesome. I can't wait for that episode to come out. Although I will tell you this, I don't know if they'll get to do it, but I had to email Ryan Scheel and say, hey, can you cut out this part that I said? Because I made kind of a joke that's probably going to offend some people in the beginning. And I asked him if he could take it out. I don't know. He didn't answer me, so I don't know if he did or not. So I guess time will tell. When I get all of you guys mad at me. No, you won't. It's just some of you will be. But they're great guys. Okay. Oh, geez. You are late. You are late. Okay. Let's keep going. Have you done any apologetics with Protestants? Yeah, all the time. Absolutely. I do that a lot. It isn't really like something I do on this channel. Like, hey, we're going to have a debate or something like that. But I'm talking to people constantly about that stuff. Okay. Wesley says, congrats on 5. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. All right. I'm going to check the time here. It's 6:41 my time. So we've been at this for a little while here. But looking forward to hearing Estelle speaking. Me too. Me too. Me too. Okay. Thank you for answering You're welcome. Thank you for asking him. Thank you for all these. All right, Teresa, you're encouraging me here. She says, you will see, I'm trying to get this to show up here. You will see St. Faustina's love for Christ. Yes. Amen. All right. I'm all in on that, Teresa. I believe it. It's kind of a miraculous thing how the diary even came to me. We were at the Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Stella and I were in the gift shop, and I had been thinking about the diary, and I didn't have a copy of it. And we were on one side of the room, and I hear this, and I look over. There's 3 people in the room: Stella, myself, and a worker. She's on the other side of the room too. And this book flew off the shelf, and I walked over, and it was a little kid's version of the diary of St. Faustina. And I put it back on the shelf, and there was a diary. And I felt like maybe she was telling me to buy her diary. Maybe, as I look back on it now, maybe she was telling me to buy the little kid version so I could actually understand it. And I just blew it by buying the regular one. But maybe so. But I will read that. Okay, Lily, how you doing? Have you had Jehovah's Witnesses or Mormons come to your door? No, I haven't. And I'll be honest with you, I kind of would like that. I think that would be kind of fun, but they haven't showed up my house since I've become a Catholic. I think I kind of chased them away when I was a Methodist one time. So they probably put me on the do not disturb list, because they came over one day when I was a Protestant, and I basically was like, look, this isn't going to go well for you if you want to talk to me about all this stuff. So you might want to leave. And they were like, okay, sorry. So I don't know. Great question. Estelle, when are you going to start doing reels? She's working on it, Haley. She's working on it. It's a lot to learn. But we will never do those goofy reels, though, where you point at the words and the music and then you just kind of make faces. Like I'm not 25 years old. I see the kids doing those things, and I'm like, man, they're so cool. But I'm like almost 50 years old, man. I can't do that. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Thank you. I subbed. Praise God. All right. We had to make up for those 10 grand that unsubbed, and we just did with one right there. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. Have you ever been in an Acts retreat or a Christian? I've done CEW, Christian Experience Week. I've done that a couple times, but I haven't done the Crucio. I think it's kind of the same thing, though. You should consider a visit to the St. Faustina Shrine in Poland. Awesome place. I would love that. I would love that. Absolutely love that. That would be super awesome. Okay. Yep. I'm facilitating this conversation here. All right. Sorry, I got to take a drink here. All right. I'm looking here. How are book sales going? Well, I think they're going okay. I think they're about to order another 1,000 copies of the Rosary book. Amazon is doing well. So it was like the #1 new release in some of these Christian categories for like a couple weeks. So I think they're going pretty well. I mean, that's all relative, but I'm excited about it. I'm excited. If you haven't bought one, consider it. You can go to my website and buy them, or Amazon. So awesome. Okay. Okay. Have you read Teresa's autobiography? She's pretty happy. I haven't. What are you talking about? St. Teresa of Lisieux, Story of a Soul. I read that when I was in seminary, but I probably should reread it. Will there be a guest about protecting the Eucharist during Halloween? I don't know. I hadn't thought about that. I guess I could talk to Father Aaron about it and see if we need to do that again. All right. All right. We're going to keep going for just a few more minutes, my friends, but I want to make sure I get to everybody's questions. I've never been to anybody's shrine in Canada. Let's see here. Yeah, the law thing is a bag of 10 commandments. Yes, that's a big issue to deal with. Okay. Oh, this is cool. Do you ever watch Bishop Fulton Sheen or read any of his books? So I haven't. I've watched some of his stuff, but get this. Next spring, I'm going to be doing a retreat in Silvis, Illinois, or not a retreat, a parish mission in Silvis, Illinois. The day after that retreat, the priest is taking me to Archbishop Fulton Sheen's grave, and we're going to do the rosary from his tomb. How cool is that going to be? Yeah, it's going to happen. I think it's like May 1st or something like that. All right. How close are you to the Canadian border? Me? Talking to me? Right now? Not close at all. We're in like southern Colorado right now. And in Iowa, I am probably like, I drove up to International Falls last year with my buddy, my pastor friend, Pastor Mike. He was buying a motorcycle and he needed my truck to pull a trailer. We drove up there. It took us probably, I don't know, 10 hours to International Falls. So I was right across the border. Okay, hold on. Kalista is answering this question. The answer is yes. Orthodox have a different view on Christ's human nature and whether or not he was impacted by original, they call ancestral. There you go. There you go. Okay, but then we see, no, do not differ. See, this is what I'm talking about. This is the problem with like some of this theological stuff, especially when you get into Orthodoxy. Like I find like Orthodoxy has a lot of different, like it's a little fuzzier on what they believe about certain things theologically. So you have some that say this, some that say that. People say to me, why aren't you Orthodox? Like that's a whole nother issue, but I'm thankful for the clarity of the catechism on some things. Okay, as a young man, what were your thoughts about the Pope John Paul II when he was still? I didn't really have any thoughts about him. You know, I really didn't know anything about him. Okay, are you selling the shirt that says Rosary Crew? I want one. Yeah, so if you go to my website, well, if you go to this YouTube channel, you can go underneath. That'll take you to my Teespring store, and everything's in there. So check it out. We've got them. They're there. They're there. Yeah. All right. Okay. I think it's funny that Grandma knows how far away I live from Canada. She checked it. That's hilarious. Okay. All right. There's a couple more here. Hey, Keith. How do I respond to my coworker? He says the Catholic Church has done a lot of bad things and I shouldn't be part of a church that is scared. Well, guess what? Every church has done bad things. If you want to be a part of it, you know, I guess everything is off the table. You can't do anything if an organization that you've been a part of has done bad things, because every organization has done bad things. What you shouldn't look at is the bad things that people have done in the organization. You should look at what does the organization teach, and understand there will always be evil people that veer away from that. But the Catholic Church does not teach you to do bad things. So, judge a church by its saints, not by its sinners, is what I would say. Awesome. You look 60. LOL, joking. Yeah, well, I'm getting there, People like the St. Francis short. Thank you. That's cool. Stell rocked it with that. All right. Okay, I understand. I should have got that, the little kid's version of the diary. All right, my friends. I think we're about ready to wrap up. I'm trying to get all the way to the bottom here and see. Okay. Do you pray the Liturgy of the Hours? I never have. I do sometimes. I tend to do more morning prayer. I don't always do the other ones, but Stella and I did them for Lent last year, and we liked it. But I don't do it enough. But I do pray it sometimes. Okay. Come back to Vito. Come back to Michigan, my brother. Yeah, I still got your shirts, dude. I'd love to come back there. Michigan was awesome. All right. Okay. Keeping going here. I'm trying to get to the bottom. But I don't want to miss anybody. Any thoughts of again, here, let me just say this completely and ultimately. I would love to go anywhere that I get invited to give a talk. So I'll go anywhere. There's no place where if you said, hey, Keith, you're invited to come here, I'd be like, no. So love to do it. Love to do it. So let's see here. I haven't been to Canada in a long time, not since I've been Catholic. So, all right. All right. I think I made it to the bottom of the list. I made it down here. Okay. This was the last comment. Great live. Happy 5-year anniversary. And with that, my friends, I will wrap this up. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. Geez, I can't believe how many people have hung in there this long. Those of you on the replay, if you've watched this on the replay, wow, you are like, I don't know, high five. Thank you guys so much. 5 years, how it started, how it's going awesome. I'm so blessed and so excited to get to do what I do. But most of all, just to be Catholic. If all of this ministry stuff shut down, if I had to go work at Walmart as a greeter or whatever, I would be thanking Jesus every day that I'm a Catholic. And I would be thanking him for all of you, my friends. So please, just rejoice with me on that. And whatever anniversary it is for you, happy anniversary. And remember, we got a lot of stuff on this channel that we're working on. I appreciate, all of you guys participating, for sharing this stuff, for liking it and letting people know about it, and for all the support that you guys give. Oh man, I'm just so thankful. And my email address, I don't know, you can find it. If you ever pray the rosary, it's in the description of the video. If I can never do anything for you, let me know. I can't be everybody's best friend. I can't be everybody's spiritual director. I can't be everybody's counselor, but I can, hopefully, if there's a question on here I didn't get to answer that you want something private or whatever that you didn't get, hit me up, man. Hit me up, because I really do love you guys. And I want to just tell you guys how appreciative that I am for this opportunity to be here. So tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central Rosary Crew. And then here on this channel, we got Unpacking the Mass coming up on Thursday. And then what day is this video airing still? The other one? Friday. The toughest things about being Catholic video is going to, that should be interesting for people. So just stick around and we'll keep rocking this stuff. All right, my friends, take care. God bless. I love you all. Let's close with today, today we're filming this. It's the Feast of the Rosary. Let's pray. Let's pray a Hail Mary. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Let's do Our Father first. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. God bless you guys. Love all of you. Thank you so much for being here, and look forward to being back here with you again soon. Take care, and God bless.